Now we're gonna eat these meatballs. God. Welcome to Mythical Kitchen, where dreams become food, even though those dreams have to stay in the house most of the time. So today is volume 2 of our quarantine cooking special because we're still locked down in the house. Today is all about taking those random meat scraps that you find in the back of your freezer, because I know I always have a random chicken breast, piece of fish, obscure ground meat back there. Take those, transform them into something absolutely delicious. If you want to follow along at home, we got the time codes right there. We're breaking it down into 3 easy dishes that will feed a ton of people, be super nutritious, and they're only using the pantry items that I got from a super picked over grocery store. I didn't breathe on anyone there. An old guy breathed on me, but I think I'm fine. Hand washing. They say to do it for 20 seconds, which is about the time it takes to sing happy birthday. I don't know that, so I'm gonna recite the speech from Coach Carter that he gives to Timo Cruz. Mr. Cruz, what is your greatest fear? Our greatest fear is not that we're inadequate. It's that we're powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. And when we let that inner light shine, we subconsciously allow others to do the same. You gotta do it 1.5 times. Mr. Cruz, what is your greatest fear? Our greatest fear is not that we're inadequate. It's that we're powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness. All right. Now that our hands are all washed, what we have here is frozen chicken. It is not even fully defrosted, which is good, honestly, because if you're just making some enchiladas or something, which we are, just cook with it frozen. Just slice it frozen, throw it in a pot. You're gonna be baking it like twice with a bunch of cheese on it, so why not? That's not a knife. Actually, this is a knife. This is my knife. So we're gonna take frozen chicken and we're just gonna slice it up very, very thinly. And actually, when it's frozen, you can slice it really thinly. It's really nice. And we're eventually going to got this in a pan with whatever spices you got on deck. Then we're gonna put some beans in that and we're gonna roll it up in some tortillas. You don't need to think about meals as just like, here's a starch, here's a vegetable, here's a meat. That way a lot of people overconsume meat. If you're trying to ration, sounds dramatic, but if you're trying to like ration meat out, I mean, honestly, it's a great way to make a big composed dish. That should be enough for enchiladas. And we're just gonna run our knife through it one more time. Dude, it feels so good to cut through frozen meat. Also, if you go to like shabu shabu or Korean barbecue, their meat's all frozen. Don't be an elitist about never cooking frozen meat. Never, get out of here. So we're gonna take that and we're just gonna toss it in a pan, get it cooked up, add some beans to it. All right, we got our saute pan heating and we got our meat scraps right there. Meat scraps, that was my nickname in high school. All right, so we got our oil hot in the pan and now we're gonna take our chicken and we're simply gonna dump it. Oh, listen to that sizzle. It's gonna break it up, make sure it cooks nice and evenly. Oh, it's about to get loud. Oh, we're in producer Ryan's house, safely distancing from each other. That's why we're not in the normal Mythical kitchen. So we're simply gonna season the chicken with salt, and then like take anything you got in your spice cabinet. You probably got a bunch of chili powder that you haven't used in a while. Dump that in there, why not? Then some oregano. And then we're gonna add my new favorite ranch style beans. You may be asking, Josh, why did you get ranch style beans? Well, I'm glad you asked, because they were the only beans left in the whole freaking store. So why did I start? I wasn't gonna pour it in yet. The idea is you're making a nutrient dense chicken and bean mash. This is like good down home cooking food. This is the stuff that I grew up on from like a single parent who was just trying their best and didn't really know how to cook. We're gonna add our can of ranch style beans, leave the lid in. The lid is gonna add great texture. So kind of ranch style beans, they're suspiciously orange. Now, if we analyze the beans, what I like about this is it looks like there's a fair amount of fat in there. And so all that fat in there, it's gonna kind of combine well and it's gonna tighten up. And then we're actually going to mash the beans down. When you add them to the tortillas, you're gonna roll them up. You want some bean mash to stick in there. Another nickname from high school. Hey, bean mash! That just smells like straight up cumin, which honestly, like that's a huge flavor in Tex-Mex food. Ranch style beans coming through in the clutch. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start mashing some beans. There's a lot of liquid in there. And so we wanna cook down a lot of that liquid because we don't want a soupy filling. That said, there's gonna be a bunch of sauce and cheese to make up for any mistakes. Anytime you're cooking a dish like this, especially in the circumstances that we are, like, there's no wrong move. All right, we're just gonna let the liquid cook out of this. I actually had a comment from an old video that was like, Josh, my ketchup isn't thick enough. How do I thicken it? I'm gonna add more whatever, I'm gonna add more whatever. Don't add, reduce. Because anytime you see steam coming out, that's literally just your mixture getting thicker over time. Just like Timo Cruz from Coach Carter said, our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate, it's that we're powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us. And when we let our inner light shine, we subconsciously allow others to do the same. We're gonna start building our enchilada sauce now. You maybe didn't get a can of enchilada sauce, which is pretty reasonable. So we're gonna teach you how to build a super janky, albeit very delicious one yourself. So if you know what enchilada sauce is, typically it is a lot of dried chilies blended with a little bit of tomato, then some sort of acid in there. So if you take dried chilies and you powder them up, you get chili powder. So you can just use this in relatively large quantities to replicate what would typically be blended in dried chili. All right, so let's drop a bunch of butter in your pot. Canned beans typically have a lot of sodium, so I think this is probably gonna be pretty well seasoned, but... Uh-oh, hot-oh, whoa no, oh no. Oh yeah, That really does taste like childhood to me. We're just gonna get our butter melting down. Tomato paste is a great thing to have on hand. A lot of people think you can only add it to, say, like stews or something as a little ingredient. Honestly, tomato paste, you thin it out with water, it just becomes tomato sauce. So we're just gonna add a little thwappy thwap, and then we're gonna whisk it up. All right, so we're actually gonna add a fair amount of chili powder to this in the butter, into that tomato paste. And so the chili powder is actually gonna toast in the pan. It should be like a little bit more aromatic. I say should because, like, full disclosure, I ain't never done this. It smells super fragrant, which is good. Anytime you're cooking, use all your senses. Mostly use your sense of love, which is the sixth sense and also the fifth element. That was in the fifth element. The fifth element was love, right?
Yes.
But she says fifth element.
She is the fifth element. But she is the embodiment
of love. Bruce Willis loves her. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add some water to the sauce. You see it starting to thin out, but it's still very thick. Keep adding some water until it looks like a sauce. All right, so you see this, it's really starting to look like enchilada sauce. We're gonna season it, we're gonna taste it, we're gonna add some more stuff so we have the appropriate quantities. Salt is very important. Anytime you have tomato, chili, butter, those are all things that really love salt. Oh, ooh, it's not as intense as I thought, but that is getting there. You need a little bit more chili powder. And then we're gonna throw some more butter in there. So anytime you add butter, you're essentially giving it a bigger vehicle for other flavors. So if you have more fat in a dish, that means it can handle more acid and spice and salt and other things. And also, like, I don't know, I always have like 2 pounds of butter in my fridge. I never know what to do with it. I'm just gonna keep adding butter because this seems good. We want a little bit of acid. I always have a bottle of vinegar-based hot sauce. Crystal is my usual go-to. Don't use the same tasting spoon twice. I need to sing songs to remind myself of proper hygiene. Little splash of water and we're good to go. And remember that we're gonna bake this off. I don't know if I told you that. What do you mean remember? We're gonna bake this off. And so whenever you're adding a sauce to something that's baking, you want it a little bit looser. That way it's gonna evaporate in the oven. Yeah, I didn't turn on the oven, dude. It's my bad. We're gonna do one final season of salt. But look at that. That's enchilada sauce if I ever seen it. We're gonna go ahead and pour. Ow. Dude, it's been so long since I've cooked on gas. This feels so good, but I forgot the flame like heats up parts of the pan. Just gonna go ahead and add some of that to the bottom of the pan. And then tortillas. Typically enchiladas would be made with corn, but flour tortillas, you don't have to heat to roll because they got glutens in them. And so look at that, boom, don't gotta heat it. So we're gonna take a thin layer of our beany chickeny mixture, and then we're simply gonna roll that up nice and tightly. And then we're gonna try and nestle them in there. Uh-oh, I overfilled the first. Someone's gonna be unhappy with their rations today. You wanna nestle these as much as possible. We have a little bit of sauce on the bottom, and then we're just gonna pour some more right over the top. Some people would dip the tortillas into the sauce before you do it. I like to leave a little bit of uncovered tortilla. Very important, you gotta take the pan, you gotta go. Boom! So glad that I snagged this 5-pound brick of cheddar, and really glad that Ryan has this thing. I hate this. Why did it come here? Just sucks. All right, you're gonna keep mashing your cheese at your IKEA ass box grater. I can't tell you how much I hate this tool. You should be able to hold it here and then go down. There we go. Well, now it's sliding. Here we go.
But it catches all the cheese.
Here it goes. Cutting it like anything catches the cheese. Whatever the cheese falls on catches the cheese. This is my natural position with this machine. You can't even see how much cheese you got. All right, so we've grated all of our cheese. Now we're just gonna blanket a lot of that on top. You want a lot of cheese. Cheese is nutrient dense. It's gonna sustain you. So we got the oven about 400 degrees. These are ready to go. We're just gonna slap it in there. The sauce should tighten up a little bit, and then the cheese is gonna melt, and we're gonna get a big old stretchy cheese pull. And then, like, honestly, this is food for 2 days. This is great. Ooh, our enchiladas are bubbling. Oh yeah, that's great. This is what I want. Just like the tiniest bit of browning on the cheese. You see a little bit of browning and crispness on that tortilla. That is what I'm going for. And then we're gonna try and plate these so they look all nice. Right on 3, 1, 2, go. Ow, I burnt myself, but only a little bit. That's the thing that I enjoy. All right, just a factual statement. These are your chicken and bean cheesy enchiladas. Super calorie dense, delicious down-home cooking comfort food. Look at her, look at her. Let's dig into this. See the butter separate a little bit from the sauce? Way to combat that. Sop it up with some tortilla, but there's still some texture on that. That is awesome. There's just like a complete flavor bomb in your mouth. It's so freaking comforting and dense and delicious. Oh, so hot, dude. Oh, I f***ed up. I messed up. Let's sip air into your mouth. We're making sloppy joes now. We found a bag of mystery ground animal parts in the freezer. I'm pretty sure this is turkey because at the time I was like, ooh, I want to be healthy. And boy, now I wish it was beef. So we're gonna start with oil because we're gonna get our vegetables going. Another really awesome thing about sloppy joes, it's a great way to stretch your meat. There's no bad way to stretch your meat. As long as you're stretching your meat, you're fine. You don't want to pull your meat. So say you got 8 ounces of vegetables and 8 ounces of ground meat in there. It feels like you're eating a pound of food. And I know I'm talking about this like we're in the Great Depression, but it's not. It's like little sensible things that you can get your vegetables in without almost even feeling like it. And if you have kids, they're not eating green beans, you know, they're eating sloppy joes. It's delicious. It's gonna be covered in sauce. And we're not serving it in a bun because we only have tortillas. A lot of people don't really know what makes sloppy joe sauce sloppy joe sauce. It's a combination of tomato paste, vinegar, woo, smaller plates than I'm used to working with. Ryan, why isn't your house bigger? The main things though are tomato paste, sugar, and vinegar, which is the same ingredients in ketchup. And I don't have any ketchup here. And we're gonna add whatever spices we found in the spice rack right to that. I did the thing where I forgot which one's salt and which one's sugar. It makes me feel like I'm back in the mythical kitchen. Oh, so always salt your veg when you're sauteing it. Give it a nice toss. Okay, so Carrie right now, so she's dating this player from the New York Yankees and he has a big package. Canned vegetables. People are out there and they are hoarding up a bunch of canned vegetables. If you just want some vegetables on hand that aren't gonna spoil, frozen for me is the way to go because they really act like fresh vegetables. They're not mushy, you can really cook with them. So there's a lot of value there. All right, so the onions are translucent. Now is the time to grab your bag meat and there's a very specific technique to putting your bag meat in the pan. You gotta scoot all this to the side. Bag meat. So your stuff might start steaming together, which typically I'd say don't do, but like at this point, you're making sloppy joes. It's gonna be covered in a bunch of sauce and stuff. Just break it up as much as possible, fold the vegetables in there, got a turkey in there. That's not salt. I feel like as a kid, I never developed object permanence. Like I got the salt from there not 2 minutes ago, but in my mind, it wasn't there. If someone plays peekaboo with me, and they do this, I assume they've died. So sloppy joes, you want the smallest curds possible. You can take out a little bit of aggression, frustration, you know, like, I don't know, the lack of a cohesive response to a pandemic. All right, this is about a good size for sloppy joes. We're seeing the vegetables start to cook down. The onions are like almost non-existent in there. And we're gonna give it basically a second cook. So we're gonna season it with our stuff. Empty out your spice pantry, whatever you got. I think as long as you add a bunch of spices to stuff, it almost doesn't matter what they are. And so I'm gonna add a bunch of chili powder. Why not? Everyone has a thing of chili powder in their fridge and they never quite know what to do with it. Same as paprika. Ryan, you added paprika. All right, don't use paprika, screw paprika. All right, we're gonna add herb de Provence because Ryan has that in his cabinet. Ryan, you're out of herb de Provence. The camera dead. All right, so our camera may or may not be working right now. Welcome back to the Mythical Kitchen. Our camera battery died. If it's not working, I'm just gonna keep doing this. I put tomato paste, sugar, and vinegar in there. Those are kind of all the key components of ketchup. So now that it's combined a little bit, I'm just gonna splash it in some water. You just kind of go like, and you casually fly it back. That's gonna combine with the tomato paste, sugar and vinegar, and all of that turkey liquid that you've now released. There you go. See, it's starting to look a little bit like sloppy joes now. Let's give it a quick taste. All this taste, I'm just here because I'm tired. Always tasted different spots in the cooking process. Ooh, that is tasting a lot like sloppy joes. Another thing you can add to your sloppy joes, totally optional. I do a little dollop of soy sauce, and that much. Just gonna give it some nice caramel color, and then it's gonna add some salt, not only salt, but a little bit of depth, because the soy sauce is fermented, so it's got some umami in there. All right, we're just gonna let that reduce down for a little bit. And then we're gonna start building our tacos. Why? Because that's all we have. Because that's all we have. That's all we have. Give it a little flip. Ryan, switch to the special slow-mo shot.
We don't, okay.
Yeah, do it. Ryan, just do it for the love of God. Ryan, I'm hanging on by a thread. Just get the special slow-mo. Do you get it?
Yeah.
That's done, I'm calling it. You want a little bit of liquid still kind of nestling in there, but you don't want it runny because we're gonna throw it in a taco. One thing I will never give up in life is griddled tortillas. To me, like a raw flour tortilla, especially corn actually, it's just like terrible. It doesn't fold right and just kind of feels mealy in your mouth. You gotta throw it in a hot pan. Gonna toss the tortilla in there. Press it down, make sure it's fully flush against the pan. My back's sweaty. Is your back sweaty? All right, tortilla's done. We're gonna get all sloppy with it. Put some of that Joe in there. And for the love of God, if you make sloppy Joe tacos, please do not call it a sloppy Jose. So now we're just gonna stuff a little bit of purple cabbage, which I picked out because I love the color of purple cabbage, and I also love that no one else was hoarding it but me. And a little bit of shredded cheddar cheese, as we've seen before, and then just get some hot sauce in there. Hot sauce is both gonna make it taste delicious and lube up the cabbage. All right, those are your Sloppy Joe tacos. I'm proud of this one. This is nice. All right, let's eat them. It tastes exactly like canned manwich, which is really awesome because that's what I was going for. Especially with the flour tortilla, like it might as well be unleavened bread because that's what it is. And the cabbage like really stands up to all the heat from that Sloppy Joe kind of permeating. So like you want all that heat, that suppleness with all that crunch from the cabbage and then a bunch of shredded yellow cheese on there. That's absolutely fantastic. Super comforting. Great way to trick people into eating vegetables, old and young alike. And tricking people is the first rule of cooking. Let's make some meatballs. I know what you're saying, Josh, you got so much meat in your bag left. What are you gonna do with it all? What we're gonna do is we're gonna make some meatballs. They're super simple and you can add literally whatever you want to them, but I'm gonna show you with just 3 ingredients. I feel like a ShamWow salesman. With only 3 ingredients, you can make bag meat meatballs. 1 egg per 1 pound of meat, and then salt. So I guess 4 ingredients if you count salt. Probably about a teaspoon of nice kosher salt, and then about a 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs. That's all you need. You mix this together, you bake it. If you have a jar of Newman's Own, save us, Paul Newman, save us! Is he alive?
No.
Dang it. So if you get breadcrumb, egg, and meat in there, you roll it into a ball, you put any sort of sauce on it, even if it's freaking ketchup and butter, which is actually Honey Boo Boo's favorite spaghetti sauce. So we're just gonna mix this up. And again, we're all about stretching out our meat, not just for fun, but for economic sake. If you're stretching your meat for fun, you'll go blind. All right, basil, oregano, nice little Italian spices. I've been picking my fingernails out of nervousness. And then we're gonna get a little bit of that Parmesan cheese again. The green stuff in the Kraft bottle, you probably have it chilling in your fridge somewhere. Then we're just gonna mix this with a fork. We're gonna roll it into some balls. You're gonna get it on a pan and we're just gonna roast that off. I don't like browning my meatballs on a stovetop because they tend to get irregular. Get some irregularly shaped balls. I like to just roll them in my hand until they're perfectly circular and then pop them in the oven. And I always lube up my hands. We're just gonna get a nice little clump of that. Give it a good roll and then plop that down. I have this problem when I'm rolling meatballs that every successive meatball gets bigger because I just like want to be done with it. I also get anxiety when I get to the end of the bowl. I've rolled out an entire tray of meatballs and then I just had like a little half meatball left and I freaking started all of them over because I was just like, can't do that. Not having these weird little golem balls. Golem, not Gollum. Like Gollum is the Lord of the Rings and then a golem is the creature from Jewish lore. It's like made from clay and what? What the hell are we talking about? So you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna get all your meatballs in the pan and we're 1 short of a full 12. So I'm gonna put these back here, mash them all together and start again. No, I'm gonna wash my hands. Mr. Cruz, what is your greatest fear? All right, we're just gonna throw these meatballs in the oven at 400 degrees. You wanna go on a high heat so you're gonna get good browning and prevent steamage from happening. Roast, you fools! We made balls of meat. We had our bag meat and now we have ball meat. That we're gonna do, if you're lucky enough to own one of the last jars of marinara sauce on the entire planet, dump some of that. If you don't have marinara sauce, throw it in a pan with some brown sugar and soy sauce. Make yourself some teriyaki meatballs. I'm just gonna get sauce in there. We're gonna flash it back in the broiler for just like 3 minutes to warm the sauce. Then we're gonna top it with a little Parmesan cheese. And then we're probably gonna make a taco out of it. I'm not gonna lie, because that's all we got. It's taco week in the quarantine kitchen. We're gonna have to fight a cat for the last tortilla. Hello, cat. You can't see her. There's a little cat here. He's adorable. His name's Lucky.
Lucky, yeah.
Lucky, you want some meatballs? Oh, I love you too. Mr. Cruz, what is your greatest fear? Let's pull the balls from the oven. Nice and steamy. See some of the turkey liquid has released. You wanna get a little bit of Parmesan cheese melted right on top. And you're just gonna dust it a little bit. Those are your turkey meatballs. We gotta plate them up. I'm gonna try them. I really wanna let them cool because I burnt my mouth on so many things today and I can't handle another one. It's too much. It's too much. It's too much. Just gonna go ahead, lovingly ladle some of these balls on the plate. Make a nice little meatball pyramid there. Do like a little splash of sauce. Now we're gonna eat these meatballs. God. I'll tell you what, they're tender, they're meaty, they're cheesy, and Paul Newman knows how to make a marinara sauce. I'm going back in. This entire tray of meatballs is mine. We don't need to worry about cross-contamination because I'm already quarantined, so I'm just locked up in here with me. No, I'm not locked up in here with me. Me is locked up in here with me. God, I'm going crazy. These are really good meatballs though. More importantly, they'll last you for a long time. They're super comforting and hearty. Like, there's nothing wrong with some mystery bag meat turkey meatballs. There you have it. That's how to take your freezer meat scraps and turn it into 3 delicious, distinct dishes. If you have any questions about how to use up your own pantry items, hit me up on Twitter at Mythical Chef. And if you make any of these dishes, hit us up on Instagram at Mythical Kitchen with hashtag dreams become food. Stay safe out there. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again soon. I'm gonna make some tacos. You can cook up your own feast while wearing the Mythical Kitchen apron, available now at mythical.com.